If you're a Bears fan like me, you were probably expecting the Bears to make some big adjustments on the defensive line this offseason. Whether it be a big trade or investing high draft capital, we all expected them to do something, as the Bears' pass rush last year was abysmal. Instead, they didn't really do much. They didn't add any big names. They didn't go get Max Crosby. They didn't draft anybody on day 1 or day 2. Instead, they waited until day 3 and ended up landing Jordan Vandenberg, the defensive tackle from Georgia Tech. And I liked Vandenberg's profile a lot coming out as a developmental piece that had good strength and quickness and a really good first step, but was behind the curve in terms of some of the more technical aspects of playing defensive tackle, which is why it came as a surprise to me that he was one of the standouts of camp this year. You hear the coaches praising him left and right, you hear reports of him running with the ones pretty consistently, so needless to say, I was really excited to see his preseason debut, and honestly, I thought he played pretty well, so I want to take a look at 8 plays from that preseason debut, about a third of the snaps he took in this game, and just break down some of the things he did well, where he needs to improve, things of that nature, and just talk about Jordan Vandenberg. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the film and talk about Jordan Vandenberg against the Cleveland Browns. So here we are with Jordan Vandenberg lined up as the 2 technique in his NFL debut against the Cleveland Browns. And we're going to take a look at a lot of good, a little bit of bad, and some things that fall somewhere in between, right? Now, I'm only going to be focusing on plays that I think there is at least something positive to pull from. I don't want to sit here and be negative and doom and gloom. But that being said, even the positives, there are teaching moments. There are things that Vandenberg needs to improve, and I promise I will be pointing those out as well. We're going to take a look at him against the run, against the pass. We're going to see it all in this video. So let's go ahead and start out with this first play right here. And this first play right here really impressed me. This is his first play of the day. We're in the first quarter, and he does a great job here against the run. So we'll go ahead and take a look and then break it down. You see, he gets off the ball super quick, eats up a ton of space, forces them to bounce the run outside, and it goes nowhere. There's a myriad of Bears there waiting for him. So we'll take another look. Right there, that first step is tremendous. He fires across the guard's face, plants himself firmly in the A-gap, and not only does he stick himself in the A-gap, but you can see he's getting penetration. Like, he is walking 74 here back a little bit, which forces Judkins to bounce this run to the left. And in bouncing it to the left, as I already said, there are a bunch of Bears right there ready to take care of it. This play would have been a run to the right without Vandenberg, which is what they were trying to set up. You can see from the first step of the entirety of the offensive line, they're all shifting to the right here. They want to run this ball right. Obviously, Jenkins now looks like he's turned inside. He's trying to pick up Vandenberg, but that initial step was with the right foot to the outside. Because of that, they want to run this ball to the right. They have the numbers to the right. Instead, they have to bounce this back to the left, and they don't have the numbers to the left, which is why this results in a 1-yard gain instead of potentially being bigger. That's a good first rep for the rookie DT, and he does exactly what you want out of a defensive tackle. Sure, he doesn't get into the backfield and make a splash play, but he eats up his gap, forces the run into traffic, and then the linebackers come downhill and clean up. Like, he is playing his role to perfection on this play, and this was just the beginning for him. Second play here, still in the first quarter, we're not going to spend as much time on, but we've got Vandenberg lined up as a 1 technique over top of the center's left shoulder, and you're going to see more of that quickness on display here. You'll see they bring a man in motion, he explodes out of his stance, gets into the backfield, sees that it's a pass, and redirects himself. Now, thankfully, we're not relying on the 300-pound DT to run down the running back on the screen. Malik Muhammad is there, who also had a very good game. But Vandenberg does a great job here. I love the quick recognition. He's got his hands engaged. He's driving the center back. And then once the center disengages to get out in space, Vandenberg gets his eyes on Watson, turns his head immediately, and is upfield, or lateral, I should say, getting after the running back and doing exactly what he needs to do here. Now, yeah, he's not going to run down this running back in open space. He is a 300-pound defensive tackle up against Dylan Sampson, who is a very athletic runner, but he does get there in an appropriate amount of time, and worst case scenario, if Malik Muhammad misses there, he's right there with DeMarco Jackson and Josh Blackwell to hopefully clean it up. I really like the reaction time here. He didn't fall for the eye candy. The second he figured out what was going on, he was getting lateral, getting out on the screen, and I really liked the effort, really liked the quickness, and, I just thought this was a solid rep all around. Getting back to Vandenberg against the run, we've got him lined up as a 3 technique here, and I want to focus on his vision, his eyes on this play, because he keeps his eyes in the backfield the entire time, and as a result, he gets in on a run stuff here. And this is a good job here by Vandenberg. So you see the center comes across to pick him up. Vandenberg keeps with him and ends up getting in there on Dylan Sampson. He is one of 2 guys credited with the tackle there alongside DeMarco Jackson. So let's go ahead and break this one down. Vandenberg does a good job turning inside as he sees that initial step, and by doing so, he gets his hands into the chest of the center, and he's not focused on the center. His eyes are in the backfield on the handoff the entire time. I know my arrow's a little bit off, but, his eyes are watching the handoff. He's watching Dylan Sampson, and you can see here as Sampson takes off, he follows him with his eyes, and once he realizes he is in range to shed this block, he does exactly that, gets off of it, gets in there, and helps on the run stop. He didn't single-handedly make this play or anything. This is really good process. These are the fundamentals. These are things that your rookie defensive tackle needs to get down, and I thought he did a very good job here. Again, hold your ground, get to the back after following him all the way through, and get in on that gang tackle for a gain of 0. Continuing with the pass rush here, we've got Vandenberg lined up as your 3 technique on the right side here. And this is another example of some good, some bad, right? I'm not going to give it a big intro. We'll go ahead and just dive into this clip. You'll see here Watson snaps the ball. Vandenberg engages with the guard, ends up falling to the ground, can't quite bring Watson down, and that results in a dump off. But as you can see from Johnson there, this is a 3rd down stop. It was 3rd and 11. They pick up 9. That, of course, brings up 4th and short. They end up punting it. So silver linings at the very least. And Vandenberg does contribute to this not being a bigger play. So we'll go ahead and take a look here. First and foremost, this is uncharacteristic from what we saw of Vandenberg. He is the last guy off the ball out of the 4 defensive linemen on this play. So I don't know if he was a little gassed, a little winded, what it was, but this is not ideal, right? We're talking about this guy as someone who is very good at getting off the ball quick. He does not here. So that is the first, inherent negative. Second, the hand placement is not great. If we rewind it just a hair here, you can see that initial hand placement is really wide. He goes for the sides of the guard when you want to get your hands up in the chest. You want to get your hands directly on that breastplate, right? Like either hand of the chest plate. And in doing so, you are able to dictate where you're going to go with this guard. You can shed him easily, things of that nature. And for a guy who is as strong as Vandenberg, that is a big deal. Being able to toss these guys to the side is how you win a lot of your reps. Now, Vandenberg, to his credit, does do a good job of refitting his hands, and you can see at this point, he does have one hand on either side of the chest plate. The problem now is he is leaning his weight into this guard. If we let it play just a little bit more, you will see right here, the lean is rough, because by putting all of his weight on this guard, all the guard needs to do is slam down, rip down on his arms, and by doing so, that will cause Vandenberg to lose his balance and fall face first on the ground. What does the guard end up doing? He takes away his left hand, uses that to bring down Vandenberg's left hand, and that results in Vandenberg eating dirt. Now, he does pressure Watson. He does make Watson uncomfortable on this play, forcing him to dump this off instead of being able to look downfield. But it could have been a lot better. It could have been a sack. He was in position to get to the quarterback here if he just could have kept his feet under him. So if he could have, kept his weight back on his feet as opposed to letting the guard handle his weight, this could have been a much better rep for him. But the power and the ability to refit the hands halfway through the rep are good signs. These are good things. Vandenberg, although you don't see the speed on this play, is a quick, powerful rusher. And so you see a good example of the power on this play, an even better example on the next one of what he's able to do with his power profile. So yes, this play isn't great, but it is an example of him still doing good work despite not having it figured out. And that's a really good sign. If he can get it when he's not technically refined, imagine what he could do with a little bit of time in the lab. With this next play right here, we've got Vandenberg lined up as your 2i, and you're going to see two things that really stood out as areas for improvement with Vandenberg when he was at Georgia Tech: his balance and his hand fighting. As a hand fighter, he still has a lot of room to grow. There's some flashes, and this play includes some of those, but for the most part, he's not really there yet. And the balance is definitely an issue. It would seem that he's more of a top-heavy player, so the weight distribution is not even throughout his body. That is something that is fixable with a little bit of time in the weight room, a little bit of conditioning. But, on this play and throughout a couple other plays that we've already looked at and will look at, it's clear that it is not something that Vandenberg can hang his hat on, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at this play here. You see he cuts across the guard's face, gets a little penetration, hits the dirt, and then Shedeur Sanders is able to dump this one off and pick up 4. So let's take a look at this play here. First and foremost, I like the false step here from Vandenberg. I think this is a good strategy. Sell that you want to penetrate the B gap, cut back across the guard's face, go for the A gap. Good stuff there. Unfortunately, the guard doesn't buy into it much. So once that initial plan, that initial false step does not work out, you got to pivot. What's Vandenberg do? He gets his hands inside the guard's chest, and then he frees up that right hand here to potentially pull off a move. He keeps his hands active throughout this rep, which is definitely encouraging. And you can see it actually helps him break free of this guard. He gets his separation right about here, but unfortunately, because he is a top-heavy player, the guard is able to take advantage, shoves him, and Vandenberg ends up eating dirt. Now, to Vandenberg's credit with his balance, he might not be the most balanced player, but something I have noticed, at least throughout this game, and something that definitely showed up a little bit on his tape at Georgia Tech, he is able to redirect himself as he's falling to try to make the most out of his descent, right? So you see right here, as he's about to hit the ground, he does throw himself forward a little bit, and that gives him the opportunity to get a little ankle bite there at Shedeur Sanders. Now, unfortunately, Shedeur is able to hop out of it. You can see he's under pressure. He lets this one rip, and he's going to pick up 4 there. But, as a whole, not too bad of a rep. Again, I like the hand fighting. I like the flashes here. There's definitely something to take away from this. You just want to see him stay upright. If he's on the ground, that should be able to open up for some of his teammates. Maybe in an ideal world at this point right here, he's on the ground, but you have Montez Sweat or Austin Booker or a motivated Dayo Odengbo right here, realizing, oh, Shedeur is under pressure. He's a little bit freaked out right now. I need to either A, get my hand up and swat this ball, or quickly shed my blocker and get to the quarterback, right? This could maybe open up for somebody, but in an ideal world, if your D tackle gets that much penetration, you want to see him finish. And unfortunately, because of his balance, Vandenberg is unable to do so on this play. And here you go. Here's that display of strength I was referring to. We've got Vandenberg lined up as the 3 technique here. And I will say this play as well as the next play, you both see that strength on full display. Now, the next play is more so the hand strength, the pop in his hands that he has, if you will. Whereas here, this is that full body speed to power conversion for the bull rush. And Vandenberg does a great job here. So we'll go ahead and let this play out. Once Sanders snaps this ball, you see he just gets behind his pads, drives the guard back into Sanders' lap, and it's an incomplete pass. He has to make a throw he doesn't want to make, throws it right at our boy Beanie Bishop, and it's an incompletion, as I said. So we'll go ahead and take another look here. Sanders makes his adjustments up front, takes him a hot second. I forgot how long it takes him to snap this damn ball. And Vandenberg does a great job getting off the ball, and he gets his hands up into the guard's chest here. Boom, right there. He drives him back, and you can see starting right here, he has his eyes on Sanders the whole time. He does a good job of peeping over top of the guard, getting that drive off the ball. The leverage here is good. The hand placement's good. You see the speed converted into power. This is a really good bull rush where he keeps his eyes up and then cuts himself across as he sees Sanders, pulling back to throw. Tries to get a hand in there, doesn't quite get it there, but it doesn't matter because Beanie Bishop's got him on the back end, breaks up the pass. Just a really good job here. This is a good bull rush. This is exactly what you want to see. Him just getting behind those pads, maintaining good leverage, and driving the guard back into the quarterback's lap, creating some distress and forcing an errant throw that ends up being swatted away. And the final play we're going to take a look at here, we've got Vandenberg as your 3 technique here. And this is another display of, number 1, good power. You see a really good, strike here, a lot of pop in his hands, which is something that I would consider a strength of his game. But it's another example of him showing a little bit of something, not fully getting the technique right, but almost getting it anyways because he's able to make up for that lack of technique with athleticism. And as I've said a couple times in this video, it's one of those plays you look at and you go, wow, he's right there, right? He's right there. If he could just get a little bit better technically, then we could really be cooking with gas. So let's go ahead and just let this one ride. Sanders takes a snap. Vandenberg gets into the backfield, ends up hitting Shedeur in the legs there, but unfortunately he is able to complete it. So let's take another look here, as once this ball is snapped, Vandenberg's going to go for the good old hump move. He's going to pull out the Reggie White classic, shout out the Minister of Defense, where you take that initial step to the left, sell that you want to penetrate through the B gap, and then at the last second, you cut back across the guard's face, and you want to land a strike on the outside shoulder. It looks a little bit like a club move. You'll see what I mean here in a second. So he takes that initial step, you bring the right arm up, slap into the guard's shoulder, and in an ideal world, that throws him away, and he is able to, just run free. Now, Vandenberg doesn't really get that, but you do see the shock in his hand. Unfortunately, the technique here is not super great, and Vandenberg also did not sell this enough to the outside. If you were to sell this a little bit deeper, ideally you would want the guard almost completely facing the opposite direction. Then you pull the move, and as he's trying to redirect himself, he's a little bit off balance, you hit him with that strike, send him flying. Unfortunately, the guard is able to keep his feet underneath of him, so Vandenberg says, you know what, fuck it, I've got a lane, I'm going for it. And he gets pushed from behind, again, ends up diving at Shedor's ankles there as he gets pushed. I mentioned he's good at redirecting himself. Really scary there for Shedor. That could have ended pretty poorly, but hey, it didn't. And overall, I think this is a solid, not great rep from Vandenberg. You see, he is aware that this is a move he can pull off. You just need to do a better job of selling it to the outside. He took that initial step, but just didn't pursue deep enough into the B gap to sell that hump move, unfortunately. But either way, solid rep, good display of power. You see the shock in his hands. He is an exciting young player, and I'm excited to see more of him next week. So after sitting down and analyzing the film, do I think through 1 week of preseason that Jordan Vandenberg is the savior of Chicago's defensive line? No, I don't. I think he is a developmental rookie that had some good reps in a preseason game that effectively are meaningless in the long term because it's preseason, right? Am I impressed with some of the things I saw? Absolutely. Do I think he has some room to grow? Absolutely. Do I think it's crazy to make a definitive statement one way or the other that he is great or terrible? Absolutely. I think Jordan Vandenberg is a developmental rookie who came out and showed what you'd expect a developmental rookie to show in his first preseason game. Now, do I think that the Bears are crazy for letting him run with the ones? No, he gives you a lot of juice, and I like the idea of him getting some reps, especially on early downs as a run defender. He is a strong player who's going to hold up at the point of attack and be able to shoot gaps and things of that nature. As a pass rusher, I still think he has a little bit of room to grow with the hand fighting, but it is something that you can learn. It's very teachable. He's got the intangibles. It's just about continuing to grow and develop. He's still relatively new to the position, so it makes sense that he's a little behind the curve. I'm really excited to see how he's going to develop going forward, and who knows, maybe by the end of the year, he will get some of those things figured out, add a couple moves to his arsenal, and really be a contributor for this pass rush. It's not out of the equation. I don't think it's especially likely. I still would like to see the Bears add, a Vita Vea maybe to this front seven, but regardless, I do like Vandenberg. I'm in on him. I've been a fan for a while, and this game did not change my opinion on him in any substantial way, but I am happy with what I saw. So with all that being said, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like down below, as it does help out the channel a ton, shows your support, shows you care, and I really do appreciate it. Also, make sure to subscribe for more NFL content coming your way this week, next week, and every week after. We are officially back in football season. I've got some fun things planned, more film breakdowns, things of the like, so you definitely won't want to miss any of those. I actually have another Bears film breakdown planned for later this week. I don't know what day yet. Might be tomorrow, might be the next day, might be the next day. We'll have to see. But regardless, I definitely don't think you'll want to miss that. If you liked this video, you'll probably like that. You'll probably like the other things I have planned. And also make sure to let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts were on this video. Are you in on Vandenberg, out on Vandenberg, whatever it may be? I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to have some civil football discourse in the comments. I always love responding to comments and just getting to talk ball with people. That's why we do this, right? To sit and discuss our favorite sport. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. But above all else, I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, evening, night, afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you enjoy it, because you're all wonderful people and you truly do deserve it.
But it wasn't there in time, but I have never seen anything like that. In all my days, I have never seen anything like that.